just read today's gospel reading. You just listened to it. And as you listen to it, did you notice the strange way that today's gospel reading gets started? It nearly seems to start in the middle of a story. Let's just take a look at the opening verse of today's gospel reading to show you what I'm talking about. This is the opening sentence, the opening verse out of the gospel. It says, "Then they came to Capernaum, and on the Sabbath, Jesus entered the synagogue and taught." Now, when it says the they, I say to myself, who are the they? We have to try to determine who the they are in order to acquire the message for the gospel for all of us this morning and then for our lives. Do you know who the they are? You folks sitting over here, do you know who the they are? How about you guys? You know who the they are? Well, we're going to try to find out who they are. It turns out to be that this gospel reading is built upon the gospel from last Sunday. So in order to understand this, we have to look at the gospel text citing from last week and this week. Let's take a look. Now, last Sunday's gospel reading came out of the first chapter of Mark, verses 14 to 20. Today's gospel reading, again, the first chapter of Mark, you see it, verses 21 to 28. So now what we know is that's correct. This Sunday's gospel reading is built upon last Sunday's gospel reading, and we have to try to understand a little bit of last Sunday's gospel to try to figure out who the they are. It turns out to be last Sunday, verse 17 and 18. Jesus notices Simon and his brother Andrew. They were mending their nets. They were fishermen. They were fishing. Jesus said to Simon and Andrew, "Come after me and I will make you fishers of men." Then they left their nets, left their boat, and followed Jesus. That's verse 17 and 18 last week. In verse 19 and 20, last Sunday's gospel reading, Jesus sees James and his brother John, the son of Zebedee. They were in the boat with the hired men and their father Zebedee. They were fishing. Jesus said to James and John, "Come after me, and I will make you fishers of men." So they abandoned their boat, abandoned their father, abandoned the hired men, and followed Jesus. Now, when we get to verse 21, let's take again a look at the opening verse of today's gospel reading. Now, to me, that makes sense. Take a look at it. Then they. I now know who they are. To rephrase it, it goes like this. Then Andrew, Simon, James, John, Jesus, they all came to Capernaum. That's the they. 4 of Jesus' newly acquired disciples, his newly acquired apostles. Now, look at the next part. That is very, very important. Now, when the part right before, let's go back to the opening verse. Now, and on a Sabbath, Jesus entered the synagogue and he taught. You see, he's looking at his disciples and he's going to teach them. He's going to teach the people in a synagogue, but he's saying to Simon and Andrew, James and John, look, before I send you out in the mission field, I need to educate you. I want to make sure you know what to do, what to say when you get out there. Now, I remember many years ago when I thought I wanted to become a priest, I called Bishop Kinnear. And I said to Bishop Kinnear, I think I want to be a priest. And he didn't say to me, oh, great, we have ordinations on Saturday. Come on over, we'll ordain you. It wasn't that simple. He said to me, great, now what we need to do is to educate you. I have to make sure that you know what you're doing when you get out into the parishes. I have to make sure you are taught what to do, you're taught how to act, you're taught how to minister. That's what Jesus is doing with Andrew, Simon, James, and John. He entered the synagogue and he taught. He was teaching those 4 disciples, men, this is what I need you to do when you got out into the mission fields. Now we have to try to determine is how did Jesus teach? Let's take a look at the next verse. The people, now this is inside of the synagogue, the people were astonished at his, Jesus' teaching, for he taught them as one having authority. How do you make sure you get authority in the place you work, in your home, in your family, in your community? How did Jesus teach with authority? It's this simple. Jesus lived an honest life. Jesus always spoke the honest truth. And if you have respect at the place you work, then clearly you are a man, you are a woman that lives an honest life and always speaks the honest truth. If you say to yourself, no one at work respects me, what you're actually doing is confessing your lifestyle. If no one respects you, that means you're not leading an honest life and you're not speaking honest truth. and you must be lying, and you must be living in a way that disgusts people because they don't have respect for you. What Jesus is saying for all of us is, I want you to live an honest life, to speak the honest truth. That is so important. He taught that to Simon, Andrew, James, and John, and then he sent them out into the mission fields, and the church grew. 2015, these four men, Andrew, Simon, James, and John, they're long past. We are the disciples of Jesus. Jesus is saying for every one of us this morning, look, do me a favor. When you get out into the world and you leave church this morning, you leave in church as a Christian. Many of you are probably here this morning Catholics. We might have some Protestant visitors. Welcome. But when you leave Mass this morning, you're going out there as a Christian. Don't tell people you're a Christian and then in the same sentence offer them a lie. Don't tell people you are Christian and at the same moment steal something from someone, because all you do is blacken the eye of the church. What Jesus is saying, look, if you tell people you're Christian, that's nice, but make sure you're living an honest life and telling the honest truth. Then people just might say, I want to join that church. They're going to look at you and say, that man has authority. That woman has authority because they live along an honest life. They speak the honest truth, and I want to be a part of it. There were these two men, Richard and James. They went to the police academy. They wanted to be police officers. They noticed an ad in the paper for a police opening, one opening for a police officer. So Richard and James, they applied for the job. The chief of police in that town called Richard and James into his office. And he said to Richard and then to James, you know, you guys have all the requirements. You have beautiful resumes. As a matter of fact, you guys not only went to the same police academy, you received the same score on your academy test. You guys are nearly twins of each other. I don't know which one of you to hire. You both seem so qualified, but there's only one job opening and two of you. So the chief said to Richard and James, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to give both of you a 10-point test, 10 questions. Whoever scores the best on this 10-question test will receive the one job opening for being a police officer. Okay, I said that sounds pretty fair. So Richard and James took the test. When they were finished, they gave their test to the chief. The chief scores the test, and after he scored the test, he calls Richard and James back into his office. And he said, fellas, this is absolutely amazing. He said, both of you got 9 out of 10 right. Both of you only missed one. And both of you missed the exact same question, question number 5. But I'm going to give the job to Richard. Oh, James got pretty mad. He said, Chief, that's not fair. You said whoever scores the best on a test will get the job. We both got 9 out of 10 right. We both missed only one, and we both missed the same question, question number 5. Why should Richard get the job? And the chief said this, because on question number 5, Richard wrote, I do not know the answer. And James, you wrote, neither do I. If he'd only been honest, he wouldn't have been disqualified. The chief would have said, both of you missed only one question, and I have to try to figure out how to give you another test to try to break the tie. But James decided not to be honest. And when you decide to lie and you decide not to be honest, you decide not to live an honest life, it's regressive. You go backwards. You'll never have the respect of neighbor, family, friends, community, church, if you're not living an honest life and speaking the honest truth. Jesus looked at Simon and Andrew, James and John. That's who they are. And he said, fellas, before you go out there, I got to teach you how to live and what to say and what to do. That's how Jesus gained authority. That's how Andrew, Simon, James, and John had authority, because they spoke the truth and they lived an honest life. You have to do the same. These guys are gone. People will join the Christian church if when they see you, they see honesty and they hear the honest truth. But if they look at you and they see a lie and you're living a lie, they're going to say, no way. I don't want to be a Christian. No way. This is a great challenge for all of us. But Jesus leaves us with this thought. Make sure when you leave here this morning and you walk outside and you travel through this town and travel with your family and friends, make sure you do two things. Live an honest life and speak the honest truth. Because when you do that, you'll have authority and respect. If you don't do that, you won't have authority, and people will not respect